Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call the September 17th, 2025 Franklin Township Board of Supervisors meeting to order at 7 p.m. In attendance are myself, Chairman David Gerstenhaber, Vice Chair Donna D., Supervisors Jim Johnson, Don Dowling, and Betsy Odgers. Also in attendance are Township Solicitor Guy Donatelli, Township Operations Manager Jeff Eastburn, Township Controller and Office Manager Melissa Ortega, and Township Secretary Stacy Hollis. And there are 10 members of the public, 8 or so in here, and one or two online. Let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you, everybody. I'd like to now open the floor to public comment. This comment may include anything related to tonight's agenda. Commenters must state their name, whether they are a resident of the township or a non-resident taxpayer in the township. If you do not identify yourself, your comments will not be included in the official minutes. Do we have any public comment to start off our meeting? All right, not hearing any, we'll move on. Donna?
Great. Thanks, David. So I want to move on to the approval of the minutes. So I make a motion that the board approve the August 20th, 2025 Board of Supervisor meeting minutes. Can I have a second for that? Sure. All right, thanks, Betsy. Okay, any discussion? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Okay, motion carries 5-0. Okay, thank you.
Next is the treasurer's report. Melissa is here to give that.
The August 2025 Treasurer's Report includes the following disbursements. The general fund with disbursements and transfers of $508,757.15. The Park and Recreation Fund with disbursements of $11,965.27. The Open Space Fund with disbursements of $5,079.90. The Capital Reserve Fund with disbursements of $4,905. The Emergency Services Fund with disbursements of $0. The Fire Hydrant Fund with disbursements of $580.80. And the Wastewater Treatment Plant Fund with disbursements of $0, leaving a balance in all funds totaling $3,588,945.87.
Thank you, Melissa. I'll make a motion that the board approve the August 2025 Treasurer's Report as presented by Melissa Ortega. Do I have a second?
Awesome.
Thanks, Donna. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes 5-0. Thank you.
Next is the zoning officer's report. This report was compiled by the Township Zoning Officer, Mark Gordon. In the month of August of 2025, there were 10 permits issued, $2,030.25 in permit fees, $0 in miscellaneous fees, $0 in recreations and open space fees, $0 in impact fees were collected, and 64 inspections were performed. Thanks.
Thank you, Betsy.
So I want to move on to the solicitor's report by Guy Donatelli. I'm going to start with the Route 896 roundabout. So do you want to make a comment first, Guy, and then I can read the motion, or how do you want to handle it?
Sure. Let me thank you and good evening. Let me set it up for folks. So PennDOT has a project, the Route 896 roundabout, they call it a traffic improvement. And just like a signal, it'll get installed and then the township, the municipality has an obligation to maintain that particular improvement. In this case, after several iterations of an agreement, PennDOT provided what it called a final roundabout maintenance agreement, which I've discussed. I think we've discussed it in public and which we've made available to the board. And the initial maintenance agreement that it had identified contained features which were not going to be built, so we would have an obligation to maintain features that weren't going to be there. So I asked our contact up there if they wouldn't mind taking some of that out. And they did. They took some of it out. I mean, with the Commonwealth, you sort of have to take what you get. There were some other conversations at one of the last meetings, and a fellow by the name of Bruce Massey appeared, and he made several what I call soft promises, because these terms were not contained in the roundabout maintenance agreement. One of them was to collaborate with the township on the color and pattern of an apron and the center, which would have some aesthetics for the township and for the motoring public, and agreed to some light, I call them baffles, but they're devices which direct the lights down as opposed to through people's windows. Those are not in the roundabout maintenance agreement that was presented to be by Bruce. Now, when you pass a maintenance agreement like this, the township has to do what's called a resolution. You've seen our board do that. In the resolution, I included language relating to the light protection and the apron and the patterns and things of that nature. But I want to make sure the board knows, and I think I may have disclosed this in other ways, that's not necessarily an enforceable obligation. But I put it in there to establish the aspirational promises of their representative. So otherwise, everything in this roundabout maintenance agreement is reasonable and consistent with what has been discussed. So I would ask the board to consider this roundabout maintenance agreement, which has gone through several drafts. But I want to make sure everybody understands that there's nothing in this agreement that obligates Mr. Massey to keep his word. Not that he wouldn't, but that it's not in here. And that if you wanted me to go back again and say to him, I've discussed this with the board and they really would feel more comfortable with that language in the agreement, I'm happy to do that. But my basic, that's the windup. My basic pitch is that it seems reasonable to me with those two, perhaps one might call them deficits.
So what do you want? Because I do have comments, but I want to do it the right way. Should I read what's here in the resolution and then open it up for discussion for the board?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. So what I'm going to do is there was two notes that were put in addition to the motion. I'll just I don't know if I could read them out loud. Just a note for the board that the installation of the roundabout is being funded by state and federal funds. Once the roundabout is found acceptable, the township will incur costs associated with its maintenance and repair, except for the following items. And one would be the roadway maintenance. So PennDOT will be responsible for clearing and removing snow and ice, as well as the application of any anti-skid or de-icing materials within the paved roadway, including the truck apron and shoulders. So that's good information. And also PennDOT will be responsible for maintenance and future replacement of the bituminous or cement concrete structure of the roadway, including the truck apron and shoulders. So they're basically responsible for maintaining the roadway. So that's how I read it. And then on Franklin Township will be responsible for energizing, maintaining, and replacing the light system of the roundabout. I'd be also responsible for pavement markings and signage associated with the roundabout, and any landscaping components that we as a township may want to install. And we must maintain that so that the site distance is not obstructed. And then I have down here, the note 2, if this resolution is passed, it authorizes our chair, David, to sign the roundabout maintenance agreement on our behalf. Okay, so those are the notes. Now I'll read the proposed motion. I make a motion that the board approve resolution number 2025-07, which authorizes the execution of a roundabout maintenance agreement with PennDOT as presented by Solicitor Donatelli this evening. Can I have a second for that?
I'll second it.
All right, thanks, David. Okay, so any discussion? Does the board have any comments?
So, yeah, I'll.
Okay, we can start.
One question that I have. Oh,
I'm sorry. Yeah,
Thank you. So one question that I have is around the signage and the markings. What makes a roundabout different than the rest of 896 that we would be responsible for the signage and the markings where we're not responsible for the signage and the markings on 896? Why is the roundabout materially different than 896 itself? So I would say, I don't see why that's our responsibility. That's part of the road. The second question is around the lighting system. They're designing and implementing the lighting system, and we are responsible for maintaining and energizing. If that's the case, should we have more involvement in the implementation and design of the lighting system? Right, we had some pretty specific requests for that lighting system, particularly around shading for the surrounding residents. So if we're going to be responsible for the lighting system, I think it should be something that the board is comfortable with, because I think previously when Massey came here, his proposal was unacceptable to the board. So those are my two. I guess the third comment is on the landscaping. We've kind of taken care of the landscaping because we're not going to use landscaping. We're going to be using a printed concrete roundabout. So that's kind of a moot point there because there won't be any landscaping. So those are my three comments. Don, I don't know if you have anything else that you want to add to that.
I just wanted to, I know, Guy, you put it out there, could you go back? And call me an untrusting person, but I know I know it's in the resolution, and I think it reads really well, but why can't we get it into the agreement? I don't think you're asking for anything that we haven't talked about. So why not? Time is not of the essence, so maybe in their minds it is, but not in my mind. Go back and you can include David's comments and just say we want to get this information regarding the lighting and regarding us providing feedback on the patterned concrete. That doesn't concern me as much. It's more the lighting that I'm more interested in. So I would be one who would say, let's go back and let's try it again.
So I will take those comments. I'll take Dave's questions. I'll see if I can get an acceptable response to those questions. When does a roundabout sign or chevron or marking become something other than a marking on the thoroughfare? I don't know that I can answer that question, other than that there is a plan for and language in the agreement as to what those signs might be. Number one. Number two, to your point, I'm happy to go back to Bruce. And as a matter of fact, when Mr. Eastburn and I were discussing this and preparing for this meeting, he quite pointedly said to me, "I know you've asked for it. Ask for it again." So I said, I did send an email out. I don't want to say it was early in the afternoon, but it was in the afternoon, basically saying, listen, I've gotten some comments. It looks like these were intentionally omitted from the agreement. I respect that. Could you see a way clear to having them included? So I will follow up on that email tomorrow, tell them that rather than, and here's going to be a little bit of advice. I'd like to be able to tell him my instructions. I'd like to be able to tell him the board brought it up. There were some significant questions. And so at my recommendation, the motion was tabled rather than put up for a vote and be voted down. So that would be my recommendation.
Before we get there, we haven't talked to the
Yeah.
three other board supervisors, so they may grossly disagree with us. So I don't want to make that statement before we hear from everybody else.
Question, because it says replacing the lighting system in the roundabout. So if it malfunctions, or are we changing light bulbs? If a truck runs it over, are we
Yeah.
responsible for putting it?
Yeah, the way this responsibility at its sole cost and expense shall energize, operate, and maintain the lighting system in a good state of repair, satisfactory to PennDOT, so as not to constitute an impediment They'll provide safeguards, site maintenance, repair work undertaken as needed to protect the traveling public. So it looks pretty expansive. Now, whether and to what extent you can impose or request reimbursement for a traffic accident as a result of somebody's negligence and destruction of what's in effect our responsibility is a different issue, but you're not asking that. But and there is a guarantee, of course, an extended maintenance guarantee under this agreement, but
But again.
I didn't understand 896
This
is
is
their
not a
responsibility.
yes, but the roundabout is the township's responsibility, and it's defined and
Because
identified
We
within the,
demanded it.
No,
I'm sorry?
no,
Oh, no, it has nothing to do.
no, it has nothing to do with whether we
Right.
wanted it. Which is why I'm pushing back with this, is that this is something they are doing for us. And so the question is, you know, regardless of whether or not I am not a road engineer, whether or not a roundabout would be an improvement or not to that four-way stop sign, it's really about why is a roundabout installations of making that section of 896 sufficiently different enough that it is now the township's responsibility. And so if they want to impose that upon us, I think we want to make sure that there's some, to your point, why are we taking care of their lights? Why are we taking care of their road striping and signs? Why are we taking care, you know? So I think it's fair, it behooves us to push back and make sure that, you know, what we're doing makes sense.
Yeah, I think so too. I think to make a. So,
I'm on the record as agreeing as well. This change was imposed on us. We never had any responsibility before. Why would we now? Same thing.
Yeah, we understood we were gonna be responsible for the landscaping in the center, which we decided not to do.
Well, there is no land.
We all knew that.
Because that's also was up to us. That was one of the variables we had control over.
Right. But I think, David, you're making excellent, why is this road, part of the roadway any different from any other part of the roadway that's
It's a
at the
good question.
state?
Makes sense.
It's a very good question.
That's right.
One of the first questions it was one of the first questions I asked, and the response and the research indicates that the cost falls on PennDOT. The imposition of maintenance, just like a traffic control device, falls on the municipality in which it's located. That's their rationale.
But why this, like, why is that not on the typical 896 roadway? Because they don't, right? The lights, they pay. Yeah, that's what we need to find out.
Excuse me.
Nothing's ever.
So I guess what we do, I mean, I don't know if we table the motion or the motion fails, right? Either way, it's moot, right? We can
We
table.
should table.
Okay, we'll just table the motion. Okay.
So can I have a vote to table the motion?
Sure, so I make a motion that we table the motion, is that what we do? So I make a motion that we table the motion regarding this, the roundabout. All in favor, say aye.
I'll second that motion.
Oh, thank you, yeah, thank you, David. Okay, any discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Thank you.
I'll let Bruce know that tomorrow,
Thank you.
or I could let him know, if I get an opportunity, I'll let him know this evening.
And I mean, this is not the construction of this, the beginning of this project is not imminent. Right, we are still several years, 2 years, I think, out from its implementation at best estimate. So we have time to discuss this.
So just so that there's no lingering doubt that question wasn't asked over a year ago. The question was, what is the genesis? Nice to meet you, Bruce. What is the?
This is a nice guy.
Yes, he is. What is the genesis of the request that the township obligate its residents to the legacy costs of certain aspects of this road improvement? That was my question. I said, is it a directive or some statutory or regulatory program, or just the nature of the program itself? I'm trying to understand why the request is being made. And that email was sent Monday, July 22nd, 2024. The response, so that everyone understands this, a roundabout like a traffic signal or a sideway. I don't know what a sideway is.
Sidewalk.
No, it says sideway is a roadway traffic feature which is constructed by the department and maintained by the municipality. This is typical PennDOT policy. And then well, that's the important aspect of the answer. And there may have been an issue as to whether it had been requested long time ago by folks not at the.
Well,
We fought it.
yeah, we've been asking this questions when Bruce has been in the meetings here, we've asked those questions, and usually I've got to go back and find an answer, and sometimes we get a response and sometimes we don't. But I think before we start signing anything, we need to he's asking us to make a decision and we don't have all of our answers. So let's table this for now.
There is a new one. There is a new circle, a roundabout on 41. I wonder if we can talk to that township and see if they've signed a similar thing.
Okay,
We do
Yeah.
that parallel, right?
Yeah.
I just know I'll tell the board, it doesn't make sense. But in the past, PennDOT has made us responsible for speed limit signs under 40 miles an hour on the state road.
Mhm.
So we must stop ahead signs. And stop bars.
Yeah.
On state roads too, they stated and said that falls into the town.
And
Realm for maintenance and for paying.
And typically a sign isn't a budget crushing responsibility, right? It's a responsibility that we have to pick and maintain, but it's not going to throw your budget out of whack. What may is a large piece of infrastructure that did not exist before that we now have to maintain. So we'll get our answers before we make a decision.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, guys. Not so much the signs. I mean, you asked the question, but it's like, these lights, right? I don't know what's gonna cost to maintain them.
We don't even know what the lights are, the light
Yeah.
bulb is made of.
Right.
It's a sodium light bulb, how do we get up that high to change it?
I will say this. I do have specs.
Yeah.
That have been distributed. There may be plan notes, specifications on the plans that I have, which identify all of that. But I don't know that we've submitted it for an engineering review.
Well, I think they're in a better place to fix these things anyways. That's their thing. But you'll go back and we'll go, yeah, see what's next. Okay. David, you're.
That concludes
Yeah.
my report.
Thank you, Guy. We're always keeping you busy. I appreciate you. All right, so next on the agenda is a township building maintenance update. We started this project, or Melissa first proposed this project, I guess last year before we started the budget discussion. And the original plan was this, not to go into details, but this building is kind of falling apart. It's a very old building. It needs a lot of help. The initial plans, we looked at a lot of different proposals and all of them were far too expensive for the township to handle. So what we decided to do was do kind of a two-phase approach. We found a budget that we could use within 2025. And then you were going to do some necessary repairs to the building and then maybe some interior reorganization. And you have the proposal now to talk about that. All right, thank you very much.
So let it roll, Jeff.
Can you put that in presentation mode? There you go. Perfect.
So the main overview and objective was to repair the township's exterior infrastructure and improving the interior office space. And this money was budgeted back in 2024 for our 2025 budget. So we broke it down into two phases. Phase one was the structural repairs on the exterior. We repaired water leaks, the windows, the roof. as you can see. And then some safety improvements. So on the back side of the wall here, there's some what I would call concrete columns that were cracked, and we had to secure them with all thread. You can go to the next picture, Jeff, I think. Well, there's the side there. So there was a lot of water leaks around the top of the window. The bricks decaying, and we looked at multiple options to paint it, repair it, side it, and then ultimately I came up with the metal siding idea. And there's the crack through the columns. And then if Jeff goes to, there's what it looks like now after the repair. And then go forward again, Jeff. And that's the backside, which would be the Appleton Road side. And if you go down to the bottom picture on the backside, there were concrete barriers in our garage or the maintenance workshop. There were 7 of them, and trapped behind there was all that salt that fell out, and all that wood was decayed. You could stick your finger through the wood from the salt eating it.
Years ago, that was our old salt shed. So that was all salt accumulation from years, I mean, decades ago.
And go back again, go back, Joe. And then the top part of the roofing was all. So what's going to happen to the lower side there? On Friday, the 12th, we had a massive clean out for the garage. We removed the 7 concrete barriers and we put over in the yard and built up a second wall. That's where we found the salt. But looking at that picture, you see that red door there that I drew on there? That will become a man door for the shop area for the garage, which eliminates the maintenance crew of constantly lifting the garage door, putting it down, lifting, putting it down. So we've seen some invoices recently for repairs to that. So the man door really help getting equipment in and out after they load up for the day, if they have to come back for a sign or a weed eater. So go to the next slide, Jeff, please. And this is the side as you come into the lane. It's all cleaned up now instead of the brick, and it covered up the 2 windows that were busted out. And the bottom picture is the entire length on the backside there by Appleton Road. And then the front there, they power washed everything, painted all the doors so they all match white. And then all the cables that were draped across the top, they zip tied them, secured them to clean it up. Yeah, exactly. You can go, yeah, it's secured. One thing I noticed when the cleanup was happening, if you look at that white pole to the right where the concrete block used to be, it allowed water and the salt eroded the bottom of that pole. So that is going to be temporarily painted, but put into the budget next year for repair or replacement. And then over to the left, that's a temporary support beam. And you can see where the magenta circle is, how that's pulling out from the brick. And then on the inside, it's only secured with that piece of metal, and from the ground, it looks like 3/4 inch bolts. So the main support beam is being ordered and I think might be put in tomorrow. It's going to be welded, hoisted up for the structure security. We get a heavy snow, that's going to fall.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Does there have to be any repair work to the cement block in the right picture?
yeah, he'll do that on the inside. Oh, and then on the inside there, so the face of the garage and the wall to the left there will all be painted bright white with the man door, and then there'll be a plywood on that first window that I'll paint to look like a window.
Is the
So,
man door going into this, where the second window is?
yeah, the second window back there. Which we had the option to put it on the outside, but for just security and visibility purposes, I thought it would be better to have it on the inside. And on the outside of the garage, you have our well, and you don't want them walking by that, knocking a pipe or so. You wanna go on, Jeff? So for the interior, this would be phase two. Jeff and I have really been putting our heads together to figure out a way to improve our office space. So this is what we both have come up with. So Jeff's workspace office will move to where my office is currently located. That'll give him the ability to conduct his business as an operations manager, talking to legal team, confidential information that doesn't need to be out there to our walk-in public or whoever's in here conducting business.
Mhm.
So right,
For context, maybe you're gonna go
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
yeah.
so right here is Jeff's desk, our zoning officer's desk. If public walks in, for a permit, for whatever. Jeff can't speak freely. So a lot of times he goes outside to talk to Guy. He goes over and sits in his office in the garage on the lawnmower. That's where you can usually find Jeff. And it's just really important. There's some information that doesn't need to be out there to the general public as we're in the planning phase or the board's considering things. And I mean, there has to be some
You're
confidentiality.
talking about an issue with a resident, right?
Right,
No, that's
exactly.
not something you want public.
No, no. And so in Jeff's office, because the flooring is so cold, we're gonna tear up the flooring, that wood flooring. And we're gonna get the concrete base, and it'll be radiant floor heating on the concrete surface, and then you can put an approved carpet over top, which will help with the acoustic for the sound and the echoing and just damper the sound and give him the privacy he needs to conduct his business. And even just focus throughout the day without being distracted multiple times from the front door traffic, the extra chatter, the like. So you can go to the next slide.
Mhm.
The new workspace, I thought tirelessly about this, so I'll be going to the cold storage area.
We're putting in a freezer.
Yes, I'm going to the cold storage, and I chose to go to the cold storage because it's quiet. Especially when I'm working on the treasurer's report, or for example, when Peter comes in to overcheck everything, doing the budget work, taking on the additional task of the wastewater treatment plant billing and stuff. When I'm into my numbers, it's very distracting to be taken away from. It's like you're taken away for 20 minutes, but then it takes me an hour and a half to catch back up to where I was. So, and it's not going to be anything fancy. It's just going to be basically, you can go to the next. So my theory is going to be a small 10 by 13 office. It'll have a glass door or something where I can see through. The existing door where Stacy is, or the main office, will be changed with a half door like this for glass, so I have visibility on the front if I'm here by myself. And Stacy's door, or the interior door, be repurposed to get to the new cold storage area, which would be off to the right.
So there's what we call cold storage is the temperature controlled part of the building next to us, which is basically just a walled off barn.
Yeah.
And you're talking about enclosing a space
Yeah.
there,
Yes,
creating a small office space
right.
with access to the front.
Yeah. And then I won't tie into the HVAC here. That'll just be, the numbers came in, it's too expensive. So a small mini split will service the heating, air conditioning, and my floor will get the concrete radiant floor heat. A new window, and then because it's 2x4 construction, they have to build out the wall a little bit to accept the new insulation. I guess that's the Pennsylvania standard. So
Is the radiant heat just electric?
it's electric. Yeah. And it's fairly inexpensive. I think for 100 square foot, wish I had that quote in front of me. I brought every other quote in price. I think it was $599 for each unit for 100 square foot. So it's an expense, but it's not as expensive as,
Then there doesn't have to be a barrier between that and the road.
no, no, they have approved carpet that goes into that area. So you can go to the next slide, please, Jeffy. So, in repurposing and adapting our spaces, last year or early this year, we had to replace our plotter over there. So our zoning officer, I'll take him out of that corner. I'll put him over here in Jeff's corner back to the way it used to be when LTL used to be here, our previous zoning. I'll put the plotter against the wall and I have a table I can repurpose for plans and the roll. So everything's going to be repurposed and reused, just organized differently.
Yeah.
And that gives the zoning officer the ability to have his traffic come in and out the door here, conduct the township business this way, gives the residents the privacy they need, and it's just less distracting to everybody.
This is the last slide.
I don't know. Go ahead, Jeffy.
Okay, there we go.
Oh, okay. So the budget, there was $50,000 was allocated for the township building maintenance and projects. And we divided it into 2 phases because I didn't know how much phase 1 would be, how much phase 2 would be. So I will say with the phase 1, part of the expenses, I can tell you I have used my personal vehicle to run and went to Oxford Feed and Lumber before working hours here, picked up so much lumber, loaded my car. Jeff has gone early in the morning to pick up plumbing supplies. I've gone after work to get the paint. So we're taking on a lot of the running to save money to put back into the budget to allow for some of this stuff to happen. I will say on Friday, Yard Works came in, gave a lot of their time. They billed for a little bit of their time, but they gave a lot of time. And today I had a meeting with Jim. He came in to look at what would need to happen for the cold storage area, because all that stuff's gonna have to be moved upstairs and I just physically can't. I can't do it all and Jeff can't do it, Stacy can't. So there'll be some assistance there. And instead of charging us an hourly rate, I just said, come up with a flat rate number for in and out for before and after construction. And whatever has to happen, and that's just the number you're gonna get, because I have to be able to budget for that number. So he came up with $1,500 to do all that, so. And it leaves, I still have $2,400 left, give or take. But with repurposing the door, we have extra siding left over. So we're falling.
So that's great. First of all, thank you for doing all that extra above and beyond work. That's amazing. Probably unnecessary, but I appreciate it. That's great. And so, yeah, I think you said it well. We kind of said, here's the budget that we can afford this year. And we wanted you to do phase 1, then phase 2. So you did that. And what we understand now is that all of this can be accomplished within the budget that we established for you.
Yes.
For this building.
That's why, and then.
It's fantastic. I think you guys, I mean, that's an amazing job. The amount of work you guys did, the ability to get this in under budget, I'm really proud of you guys.
Yeah.
That's really wonderful.
And our contractor, Tim Seipel, is that how you say his name, Seipel? Has been fantastic, him and his workers. And quite honestly, I think they're giving us a big break as well.
No, that's amazing. No, this is great.
So that's the proposal.
So I
Any
have a
questions?
motion in front of us. We have a motion in front of us. I'll read it. And then we can discuss any comments we might have about the change. Well, not the change, but the phase 2. I make a motion that the board approve the proposed phase 2 interior township office space repurposing plan as presented by Township Controller and Office Manager Melissa Ortega. These projects will be completed utilizing the 2025 budgeted funds. May I have a second?
Give it to Jim.
All right, I'll give it to Jim. So any further discussion? Anyone want to say anything?
Are we okay with the money?
We are okay with the money.
We are within budget, so that's
That's
a
what we
big
want
event.
to
How often
know.
does that happen? Particularly a construction project, so.
Yeah, I do want to make a comment. So, you have, our staff is amazing. We all know that. And
100%.
both Dave and I were dragging these guys, just not to do this plan, but to get them to start thinking about it, because these are a group of people that put themselves last.
Yes.
So they worry about spending money. Think of anything else that the township's involved in, they always put themselves last. And last winter, it was really sad. These guys were sitting here with 10 pairs of socks on, feet were freezing,
Yeah.
little space heaters. It was, you wouldn't ask your worst enemy to live like this.
For context, we're all sitting on a concrete slab
Yeah.
with a very thin layer of carpet, and that's the entire length of this building. So it's very uncomfortable in the winter. for
Right,
sure.
but these guys put up with it, and I'm just so proud of the fact that they finally agreed to do something that would make their lives just a little bit easier, and all three of them deserve this upgrade. So thanks again for doing it, but I just we had to kind of drag you there because you weren't putting
Yeah.
yourself first.
That's true. It's true.
Don, I agree. This building was not meant for what we use it for. And that they've been suffering through it and doing well with it. And I think these upgrades will be great. I would say no more wood in your car.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Use
We'll
the
figure
truck.
something.
We have
out.
a pickup truck out there. Use
Yeah.
it.
I was using my car because I
As you're
live in
driving by.
Oxford.
I
in
understand.
the
Maybe
morning.
one night you could take the truck.
And well,
Yeah,
now
that's
Jeff had to go
Yes.
pick up stuff the other way, so.
And may I remind you that we disappointed them once because we had grand plans for this building. And because of MS4, we had to cancel it. And that was very disturbing to all of us because we had people come in and give us beautiful, beautiful plans, and then we couldn't afford it. So it was very disappointing. So this is part of the way back for doing the good deed.
Mhm.
This was the literal tractor shed when Lon Thomas owned this property. He pulled his tractors in the front.
Yeah. Any other discussion?
No, I think we're ready.
All right, we're ready to vote. All right, so all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. So last piece of business before we move to the committee reports is I just want to make a general announcement that we are starting our budget process. This is a multi-month process. We're going to be starting in October, so all of this is public. We will be presented a budget. We'll discuss the budget. We'll make any changes or adjustments as a board. Then we publish the budget, and then the budget gets approved. So you'll see everything in the process. One item, so first is the announcements. We're going to start talking about that next month. So if you're interested in the budget process, please come to next month's meeting when we initiate the process. And then another piece is West Grove and Avondale Fire Department's budget proposal is coming in for 2026. And there's a bit of an increase for what they're recommending, and we're going to be talking about that in October as well. So that's something that would be worth listening to. So with that, we can move on to our committee and commission reports. Dawn.
All right. Well, starting with getting freebies. That's my job. And I try as much as I can to get everything for free. So we are going to do our third Master Gardener program for free on Saturday. We have 3 lovely Master Gardeners that have been doing this. Emmy Nichols will be our last presenter on Saturday, and we're going to do a dig and divide. And Miss Carla Gutman, who is one of our lovely residents who donated daffodil bulbs by the hundreds, and Betsy put those in the lower garden. But she also came up with all the pots we have back out there for the dig and divide that she dropped off the other day. So those are all free. So with that said, we also have all of our local bakers who I won't point them out, but I've got some in this room and some other local bakers making all of our goodies. And we had a wonderful donation for all of our sunflower decorations. So I am so excited to do this program on Saturday in conjunction with the baseball game. So they'll be doing the baseball game while we're up doing our program. We're starting this one at 11 this time to move it up a little bit. And then we will be finished digging and dividing by 1 o'clock, and we will have our big plant swap. So our big plant swap also is for anybody. It doesn't have to be a township resident. It can be anybody that brings a plant can take a plant. Bring 5 plants, you can take 5 plants. So in the past, it has been very successful. I've been shooting it out all over the Facebook and the emails and to everybody I can get to come and bring plants and take plants. And with my freebies, you all heard that we got 130 plugs for the rain garden for free from North Creek Nursery. And it's been raining and they've been beautiful and we're all happy. The ladies that have helped me put them in, we're all excited because it's been raining. And we're all excited about the rain garden filling in.
Yes.
So that's been another project. The other thing that I work on is the thing with the library. And the last Friday, which will be the 29th of September at 10 o'clock, we're going to have it's going to be a reading, but this is going to be with music. So the kids are going to do music, they're going to have instruments, they're going to sing, they're going to dance, and they're going to have stories about music. So this will be a new kind of a challenge, and we're going to see how that goes. And they're doing it every week in different parks. So we'll be the last one for that. So that's pretty exciting. Sorry, 26th, last Friday in September. Yeah, I've been a little busy.
What time?
That'll be at 10 o'clock,
Thank you.
like the regular readings. Do we have somebody here for Parks and Rec? Okay. Well, we had a very, very productive meeting, and I have 2 pages of notes from the last Parks and Rec meeting. So I won't go over everything, but oh gosh, we went over all the things I've talked about, the pallet composter, the things I'm going to work on for the garden. We talked about the bridges that need to be done, the trail to the winery. Let's see, what's the most important? We're going to be working on just the new signs, the here, you are here signs, vine removal, Gaga pit, additional kiosks. So I've had the ladies re-up for next year. So I have the Master Gardeners re-upped for 3 times next year. I have the library already committed to do the reading in the park and maybe the music and the citizen science. So the library's re-upped for all that for us next year. I want to do another rain garden program. I think that was very successful.
Yeah.
And if we have a beautiful rain garden, we should show it off. I think
I
that would
agree
be
with you.
worth it. And
Just know it needs a lot of maintenance.
it does, but we'll get there. Bob Mangus is going to move his car show to the spring. So we're going to try to do that in the spring. We are going to have the movie night in the fall. So anybody that date October 4, right? October 4th, we have the movie night. Yeah.
Oh, great.
Great, that's wonderful. And then next year, God help us, we're gonna try to do another huge fall festival
Right.
for the big anniversary year.
Hmm.
So I've talked to Andrea, wants to help with yoga in the park. Heather wants to help with the stargazing event. They talked about more movie nights, more live music. We talked about camping, winery tours, guided trail tours, the Easter egg hunt. And that's going to bring us to our next presenter.
But before you go there, can I just
Before we go there.
ask a question? So you went through a lot of ideas.
We went through a
and I-
lot of
and I think
ideas.
it's really good that the pro is, with your input, is really generating all these ideas. But the bottom line is that you guys generate the ideas, but then you will bring them back to us, right? So,
Oh,
'cause we're-
absolutely.
right.
And what I'm trying to do with the group and what Heather's trying to do is we're trying to get specific people to head up specific things and make things tighter. Because I think that we should have, with Stacy's help, written procedures on if Eagle Scouts come to us and say, do you have a project? We should already have lists of projects. We should have a paper that says, this is what you do first, second, third, procedural papers for, and even for our small events.
Yeah.
I think we have to know how to run small events and what the regular procedures are, and do we need parking, and do we need, but have it all structurally written so that, there's not always gonna be a me, there's not always gonna be a
Well,
you.
that's a good point, because it's these are volunteers from residents, and they're not
Exactly.
necessarily, they're people who are interested in parks and
Right.
interested in open space, and they may not be an expert in logistics
Right.
or municipal zoning
Exactly.
requirements. And so having that written out rather than kind of going to our zoning officer or going to Stacy all the time, you'll just say here.
A professional organizer in our midst. I'm telling you, this young lady made the fall
So-
festival.
Yeah, I will say, the reason the Fall Festival looks amazing and so easy is all of the hard work that Stacy puts into it to make it actually happen, because it is a tremendous amount of work. And it's one of the reasons why we might be alternating years, maybe do the movie night one year and the Fall
Right.
Festival the next year. And well, we're talking about the frequency, but it is a tremendous amount of work, and growing every year. It gets bigger. That's a good point. And so,
So the more organized we are and the more written procedures and guidelines we have for all this.
our volunteers know what they're doing.
Exactly.
Right, with that,
So
yeah.
that's,
I can hand off stuff. So I think that's,
that's
you
my
know,
plan.
I'm really happy that you guys are getting there. We've been talking about that for a long time, about organizing around ideas and organizing around people
Right.
and holding, so that's great. That's
So I
great.
have one more good news, bad news thing.
Someone's messing with Elwood?
Well, we named our snake Elwood for Elwood Crossing Park. And Elwood,
You may want to give some context, like that we don't.
Oh, can we put the sign up? Again?
Elwood lost his head.
What? Oh my
Elwood
gosh.
lost his head. So Elwood has to be reconstructed. But I believe in my heart that the reason Elwood lost his head was because after the program was finished, the rocks were just left there. And there wasn't any follow-up on what to do with the snake. And there wasn't any sign to what to, so
You're gonna make a sign.
that goes with your planning. You have to you do the program, but then that's not you're not finished. So we learned that the hard way. So this is the proposed sign for Elwood. And this came up by Kyle, our wonderful sign designer.
All right, well,
Kyle and Andrea were working on this, and they came up with this wonderful little thing, which I think is delightful.
Yes, it is.
And Jeff came up with prices, and a 9x12 is $21, and a 12x18 is $42. And we just would put it on a little metal thing and put it in the corner there and put Elwood along the inside of the tot lot.
Yep.
And you could just keep adding rocks.
Well, I like that the snake has a name.
So cute.
That's very cute. And it's a good idea.
So this doesn't happen to happen anytime fast, because we won't make Elwood again fast. But if we could buy the sign and have the sign ready to go when Elwood gets reconnected.
Reborn, when Elwood is
We will
reborn.
make sure that the sign gets out before Elwood does, and then everybody will understand what the
Yeah, I think
project
that's
is.
great. And one thing we might do is, along with those organized events to, build Elwood, is just to have advertise that on the Facebook and say, hey, do you have a little rock you'd like to paint?
We'll see it.
Build
I
Elwood, and
think-
it doesn't necessarily need to be.
Curve for all of us, because we've never done any of these are new projects for us.
Mm.
So it's exciting and it's fun, so it is a learning curve. So, also I sent Bob asked me to show him a picture of the sign that I want too. And the sign is, I don't have a picture of it on me, but it's a 4x4 post with the wooden arrows.
Mm.
The different wooden arrows, different colors. And that would be in the corner when you first come up to the tot lot. And it would say restrooms, basketball,
Mhm.
trails, in different colors for the kids. And then the Elwood sign would be down beside him, beside that. And then Elwood would start behind your education station.
My education station. Well, thank
So-
you.
So we're getting there.
Yeah, and I'm very happy that, the pro seems to be finding their stride,
Right.
and I think it's great. It's something we've been working towards, and I'm can't be happier. Really great. Being creative, which I love, right? And sometimes when you're creative, you make their experiments and you
We're-
learn some stuff, and so
we're-
you guys are doing a great job.
We're-
And it's nice to see you guys like firing on all cylinders. I love it. I
So
love it.
everybody's invited to the baseball game and the plant swap, and if you want to come learn about the plants, you can come at 11 and have wonderful treats. Auntie is doing her herbal tea again. We're having apple cider. We're having wonderful baked goods. That'll be yummy, yummy, yummy. And that brings me to my next exciting thing. I want to have my young man come up and introduce himself and give his presentation for the next Eagle Scout project.
All right. So there's a little button there, should turn green on the front. There you go.
Okay. Yes, I do have a presentation. All right. Good evening, everybody. My name is Joseph Giordano. I've been a scout in my unit, Troop 191 of Avondale, Pennsylvania, for around 5 years, since summer of 2020. And I've been working very hard for a very long time. And now I've finally been given the opportunity to present my Eagle Scout project, which would be to construct bat boxes in Elwood, El Crossan Park. To the next. Just a brief description, the project will involve replacing and installing new boxes across Elwood, El Crossan Park in Landenberg, Pennsylvania, pretty close to where I live. The work will replace the 4 existing single chamber bat boxes around the park that were, I assume, constructed many years ago with larger 4-chamber boxes with 1 additional box, bringing the total in the park to 5. I also want to do educational signage, explaining what the bat boxes are and their purpose to anybody that would be visiting, any park visitors that would pass by these boxes. So the next pictured up above are the 4 original boxes. Note that they're very small. They appear very small. They're single chamber boxes. I think the openings are about 1 inch wide. And they're built on weathered wood. They appear very old. The second and third pictures, the second and third boxes, are on warped wooden poles. It's very apparent if you go and visit them. And to the next. Pictured to the right is a map of Crossan Park with the marked locations of the original bat boxes that my father and I went out and found ourselves. Box 1 is surrounded by newly planted trees in the park, which is pictured below, and box 4 is placed among tall plants, which was pictured in the previous slide. I do know that predators are easily able to climb up bat boxes and prey on bats if they are placed near trees, fully grown trees and tall foliage, which means that these boxes must be relocated to new areas of the park. Number 1, to have them in more open spaces to stay away from predators, and also possibly relocating those boxes and a few more to be closer to park trails for any people passing by to be able to see the signage that I plan to put on the box poles. To the next slide, please. In terms of construction, it's pretty simple. We'll be cutting plywood to the exact measurements and caulking or bolting the pieces together and installing the pole itself. Installing the box on a pole itself requires mounting the box to a 16-foot pole, either wood or steel, and cementing it upright in concrete, which will mean that we will have to dig sizable holes to pour concrete into. And I found this out through guides posted by the Bat Conservation International. They were a very helpful resource for this. And they have step-by-step instructions on both building the boxes and mounting the boxes that we can utilize. On the next slide, please. I believe that the project will be beneficial mainly because this appears to be outdated, but bats are very good pest control. They're very abundant in Pennsylvania, especially Pennsylvania forests, which the park is pretty close to. And I think new bat boxes will provide better housing and a better habitat for them to thrive, as the old ones, to my knowledge, are not very inhabited by bats anymore. They're also very small, they're weathered and placed in dangerous areas to the bats and are difficult for visitors to observe. Additionally, as I said before, 2 of the boxes are on warped wooden poles, so the new bat boxes will allow for a more spacious area for the bats to be safer and have an opportunity for people like visiting the park to view and learn about the signs, or view and learn about the bat boxes and their purpose. On the next slide. For materials and tools and acquiring help, I estimate that at maximum, we will need around like 12 people to help build and install the boxes, but at the very least, 6 people will be great for carrying out the project. And I plan on acquiring help by asking members of my unit and other local units. I know that Avondale has another unit, Troop 10, that we work very closely with, that I know will be very, very happy to help us out. For materials, wood, screws, nails, caulk, paint, concrete mix, and custom signage are needed, among some other things. I hashed out an estimate cost that came to around $1,620, although discounts through working with Oxford Feed and Lumber, which was recommended to me, and other local businesses could bring the costs down. And for needed tools, most, if not all of them, are ones that me and my family already own and can use free of charge and bring to the project unless other complications arise. To the next, please. For permissions, for a small building project like bat boxes, I don't think a permit would be needed, but I will need permission from you all, the township, which I feel will be easy since I'm speaking with you all right now. As I said before, the estimated material cost is around $1,620, and I want to achieve fundraising by asking for donations from my unit and working with Oxford Feed and Lumber to receive discounts on purchasing wood, plywood materials, and other materials. Definitely could have negotiated discounts if I go to popular hardware stores like the Home Depot and Lowe's and inform them of my project and my initiative. On the next slide, I have project phases. Right now, I'm in the project planning and approval phase, but next I want to seek fundraising. Then I will ask and gather available volunteers, and then I will go into preparation, which will be purchasing materials and signage. My project phase 1 will be constructing the boxes. It may take a day, it may take more than a day. And then my second phase will be posting boxes in the park, which I believe will take more than one day. And then finally, it would be reporting the project and presenting it to the Chester County Council for a board of review. Additionally, I didn't note this. This is like a little bit outdated, but I do plan on carrying out the project itself in the summer of 2026, maybe starting around April at the very least, and at the very most ending around June or July. On the next slide, I have logistics information. As said before, my family already has needed tools, and those can be used for this project free of charge. Transportation will be relatively simple. Materials needed can be transported via car. It's a lot of things that you can buy from stores. But boxes located in harder to reach areas will probably pose a difficulty to transport those materials if we cannot make it through vehicle. Volunteers don't really need to bring much. They can bring themselves. They can drive themselves to work, like the project sites, and work can begin. The largest safety issues I found were the use of power tools and ladders. I plan to use ladders potentially as a way to take down the old bat boxes, and that can pose a risk of falling. And power tools can be very dangerous. I know one of the tools that we will need is a circular saw. So I think many of the tools will have to be used by adult members of the project or older scouts. And on the next slide. The next steps are to just finalize a more detailed set of materials and supplies, then create a very detailed budget plan, map out the final new box locations, contact potential donors, get fundraising rolling, and finalize project work dates. And on the next slide, I have links here to the Bat Conservation International's guides to installing the bat boxes and building the bat boxes. I have a link to the detailed notes on the original boxes that I believe were presented last meeting. And at the very end, my cost estimate spreadsheet that I gathered through websites for the Home Depot and Lowe's. I'd like to thank Mrs. Dawn Dowling, Mr. Chris Consorto, and Mr. Jeffrey Eastburn for supporting me and helping me through this project so far. And thank you all for your time.
Well, first of all, thank you for coming tonight. I really appreciate you guys. I'm sure the board also appreciates you coming in, and nice job with your presentation.
Thank you.
Couple of questions I have. One is, you mentioned that the current bat boxes experience some weathering and warping, that kind of thing. What about your new materials of construction maybe help improve the longevity of your bat boxes?
So the guide outlines that we will need to paint and stain the bat boxes. Generally nowadays, most bat boxes are painted with appropriate colors depending on your region, just so that the temperature during colder, like winter weather, will like make the habitat stay warm for bat boxes, for the bats, and that will also improve, improve the longevity of the wood used. And then again, we were thinking of either installing them on wooden poles or steel poles. I know steel poles will last much longer than wooden ones. So if that can be figured out, I'm sure that will be like my preferred option.
My next question was, on the map you showed where they currently are. You mentioned they will need to be moved to a more open space. Where are you thinking about moving them to?
So boxes 3 and 4 on the map are out in very remote locations. I had to trek out into some tall grass to find them.
Yeah.
I know that there's a trail along the side of that area. Just if we were to move those boxes closer to the trail, it would provide a more open space, as they already are placed, except for the 4th one, which is among a lot of tall plants, which poses a threat. And then as long as they're closer to the trail, but not right next to it, since it's surrounded by trees, they'll be able to be viewed more easily by park passersby.
And I guess my last question would be, when you think about your project, what's the biggest hurdle you think you're going to have to face and overcome in order to achieve the project's objectives?
Probably fundraising, and especially like transportation of materials. The park is very vast, and I think like my ideas for the relocation of the 3rd and 4th boxes and wherever the location of the new bat box will be may require some more heavy lifting. I have experience with building bat boxes. There was another neighborhood, not in this township, but in another one, where we did have to do the process of digging the hole and planting the concrete. And I do know that transportation of concrete and water was a very big thing.
Sure.
But yeah.
Any other questions?
Yes, I live right next to the park. And you're welcome. I'll give you water to make you mix your concrete.
Thank
I'd
you.
love to have a bat box
But yeah,
there.
so do I. I live in the neighborhood right across from the
All
park.
right, I live in the barn.
Oh, that barn. I didn't know that. I
Yeah,
pass by that.
Bats in there. So
I pass by that very
Yeah.
often. Drive around that.
bat box.
That's a big.
Bat box.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Joseph, I'll say thank you for such a well-prepared presentation.
Mhm.
And Dave asked most of my questions, but I know you said there are 4 chambers on the new ones. I just didn't see can you explain that a little bit more? And maybe how big they are? I mean, hands, that's fine with me.
I can't recall the exact measurements, but right now there's single chambers in the bat boxes. An inch wide is actually very good for the local bats in this area, like the little brown bat. 4 chambers will just increase the number of slots that bats can fit into and thus increase the overall capacity of bats fitting in. I think
Stacked like on top of each other like that?
they'd be horizontally out. So I think according to the plans, I'd build the huge box and then slot in little wood panels to create the chambers, and they'd be all like an inch or so apart.
I have one more question too. How did you pick this as your project?
I think it's hard to remember, but I had a lot of fun first off with like implementing the bat boxes, and I also helped construct them. They were from a kit, but I think building them ourselves will be a cooler opportunity than that. I'm very big on wildlife. I do love the park. I love Crossing Park. It's a very nice place to just walk to, spend some time in. And I've had experience with a project before. There was a project where we were building birdhouses and installing them across the park. And every day I come around and I think maybe there's something I can do for the park that I live right across to just to make it a little bit better.
That's good. Thank you.
Anything else?
I just want to say you're amazing. I'm just so impressed. So, good job.
Thank you.
Well, I have to say, I've been working with Joey and having a wonderful time, and Chris Consorto, turns out he did, I don't know how many projects on bats down in North Carolina. Who knew? So he is Joey's sponsor through the pro committee. So Chris and I have adopted him. He came in and met with Jeff. We sat down and talked with Russell, his father, and went over the whole project.
Awesome.
And it was wonderful. And I think that it's going to be great. I learned a lot already. Bats can't take off from the ground. That's why the bat boxes have to be so high, and they kind of fall out of the box so they can fly. Okay, and the big bat boxes will allow for them to breathe too, where the little ones won't. So I'm learning a lot about this too, so I'm having a great time. And the reason we're gonna put the signs on them is so that everybody understands what they are, another learning opportunity for the park. And I learned that the Bluebird boxes had been made years and years and years ago in Joey's garage.
All right. We got a legacy.
So we have a
Fantastic.
legacy building here.
Love it.
So with note number 1 for this, the township usually gives $500 towards the Eagle Scout project.
Okay.
So do we have any questions other than what we've asked?
Well, I guess I'm going to make another comment because I'm excited about this because I've been thinking about bat boxes for my own house.
Everything I've done, he wants for
but
himself.
you know what? It's right. I guess that's true. But I spent a lot of time in Croston as well, and I don't think I've ever noticed the bat boxes that are there. So I'm excited that we're going to have something that kind of highlights what's there. So that's a nice, another nice kind of contribution from my own perspective. Shall we read the motion?
Well, so I think there won't be any problem we have Matt with the Hellbenders, the bike guy, and we have Chris, and we have Jeff. So I don't think when we go to put them in, I don't think we'll have any problem getting some helpers, and we can get that done. So that won't be a problem at all. So I make a motion that the board approve the Crosson Park Bat Box project as presented by Eagle Scout Joseph Giordano, and the Franklin Township will contribute $500 towards the project. Any discussion?
You need a second.
No, may I have a second?
Yes.
Betsy? All in favor? Okay, all
I have a question.
opposed?
So $500, is that 2025 budget or is that?
Oh.
2020?
That'll be 2026 probably, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll,
Because won't be paid out until,
right, till 26.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Just,
Unless he needs, does he need it before that? Do you need the money before that?
I don't think so, no.
Okay.
We can figure something out.
Okay.
I mean,
That's gonna be a line
Up
item.
to you on how you want
It's
to
gonna be part of
budget.
Well, thank you, Joey. I'm very proud of you and very
We gotta-
excited.
We gotta vote.
Oh,
He stopped.
Sorry.
Stop the
You didn't
vote.
ask for discussion.
Sorry. All in
In
favor?
favor?
Aye. All opposed? Motion passed 5-0.
Jim, you are a
Thank you.
problem.
Thank you all so much.
All right, thank you. Very good job. Very, very good job. All right, so next up, we have the Big Elk Creek Task Force update by Antia Consorto.
I'm going to be really quick. We finally got the transcripts from the last two meetings. They do include.
You're accurate?
They're accurate. They do include the verbiage we wanted about them committing to working with the townships
Good.
from the very beginning of the planning phase all the way up until they actually start breaking ground. So all of that's in there. They gave us a 2-week comment period, which ends this Friday. So as soon as our comment period is up, they'll take all of our comments or corrections for the transcripts and incorporate them. So I estimate in 2 to 3 weeks, they'll be available to the public. We're still waiting for the master plan to come to the task force. When they sent us the transcripts, they said, hopefully by the end of September, they'll be sending us the master plan. Once they send it to us, again, we get our 2-week comment period, then they'll take however long they want to finalize it before they release it to the public. We still don't know what that release will be, whether they're going to choose to go the route that we encouraged them with a public meeting, or if they're going to do what they originally wanted to do, where it was just a quick and quiet press release. So that's where we're at. We're just waiting.
For now, mission accomplished.
Yeah.
Oh, for now, mission accomplished.
Yes, so
That's excellent.
we're just waiting now. And as soon as they have anything to show you, they're supposed to contact you. And the verbiage is in the transcripts again, stating that they will come to the township and they will work with you in any way or capacity that you decide. You want them to come to Board of Supervisors meetings, they can do that. If you want them to have meetings with, Jeff or whatever separately to go over stuff, they can do that. So all of that verbiage is in there. We just have to hold them to it now.
How about the name? What did they say in the transcript?
That's not going to be, so again, they discussed how the name is provisional. So Big Elk Creek could become Big Elk Creek Preserve, which is ideal. That's what we want. Or they could change the name completely and go with something totally different when they're done with their cultural resource management plan. I feel like they're going to wait until that's over before they make a decision, and that cultural resource management plan won't be done for another 12 to 18 months.
So how did they phrase it in the transcript? Did they address the naming at all?
Just that it's provisional and that they haven't made a decision yet.
And so you don't anticipate many changes for Friday, your Friday deadline, or?
Oh, for the transcript?
Yes.
I already read them both.
So
And there were a handful of stupid mistakes that I corrected.
grammar or something? Yeah.
They had me saying something that was not accurate about Mount Olivet Cemetery, calling it Queen of Peace. I don't know where they got Queen of Peace. That was not words that came out of my mouth. So things like that when they translated, I don't know if they did an AI translate and it didn't pick up other words, silly things, but nothing critical to the meaning of the meeting. All of that was actually fine.
Great.
Okay.
Betsy.
Yes, next we have the Historical Commission and Historical Architectural Review Board report by Paul Agassi, and I see him.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. Yeah, we can see and hear you.
Okay, fine. So I'll start by just reviewing what happened over the past month. The Historical Commission did not meet. The HARB met on September 2nd to review a COA application for 3302 Appleton Road. There were, due to one of the Secretary of Interior standards, some potential issues with the proposed work. The standard calls that the architectural, that the new work be made compatible with the massing, size, scale, and architectural features to protect the historical integrity of the property. The property happens to be an important historical aspect of the district, and this issue was raised. We've asked the applicant to reconsider some design changes, and at the same time, we noted that the applicant was not required to reconsider the design changes, and we're going to resume discussion at our next meeting unless the applicant desires a postponement. So that is presently in process, and there's been no recommendation issued by the HARB. The Historical Commission I was, as I think the supervisors are aware, invited to attend the September 12th session that was conducted by Group 106 for DCNR, which focused on historical cultural resources in Big Elk Creek State Park and other related issues. I, however, did my best to provide Supervisor Odgers and Ms. Consorto, who did attend, with materials related to the session topics prior to the meeting, and also wrote up my responses to the questions as they have been posted on the agenda and passed those along so that they could be distributed at the meeting. Yesterday, we had a talk that the Historical Commission co-sponsored with the New London Area Historical Society on the Newark and Pomeroy Railroad. That talk had a pretty good turnout of about 45 people. And the Historical Commission will be picking up the honorarium for this talk. And I will be getting an email off to Melissa as soon as I know what address we need to send the honorarium to. Finally, I just want to mention that London Britain will be having its 300th anniversary celebration on September 27th, and it'll run from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. In addition to everything that will be going on in Nickel Park, there will be nature and historical hikes in the preserve, and I'm going to be actually helping out with one of those. So
Awesome.
That sounds great.
Yeah, that does.
that's what I've got. I don't know if Betsy or Antia want to comment on what happened at the resources meeting.
Sure. First of all, I want to thank you because you gave us a lot of information. We really went in, I think, as well prepared as we could. It was an interesting meeting, and Tia can jump in at any time, but it was pushed towards freedom seekers. We told them what your opinion, that it was not provable or, it could be, but that the freedom seeker keeps coming up in their literature. So I'm not sure if that's what they're looking for for the park, but I believe I made it really clear that the ARC and the Mason-Dixon line was scientific, proven, tangible, historical, and nowhere else that was the most important point.
So what are you saying, that there's no historical reference of freedom seekers traveling through our
Specifically through the park.
Specifically through the park.
through the park? But what was there a path near?
So Again, Paul, thank you very much. That information was overwhelming and amazing. There was a lot there. We even had maps at the meeting that showed the paths and the secondary paths of the freedom seekers. And if you looked at those maps and overlay them with our township maps and everything else, they literally go all the way around what would be Elk and Franklin townships and where the park would be. I think, was it Emily Kilby said she felt that one of the reasons for that was all of the mills and the historical businesses that were along Big Elk Creek and all the development that was there. There were too many people. It wasn't an area that you could actually easily sneak through and hide people. And the religious aspect of that, there weren't any Quakers really here. So they didn't have the support system that they would have had if they had gone to other areas where there were Quakers. But they did discuss, and this was funny, they want to discuss the Mason-Dixon line as it functions with the freedom seeker movement. So the Mason-Dixon line as it affects the freedom seekers. So that seemed to be part of their focus. And they were looking for anything they could find as far as either a Quaker church here, and they did reference thinking that the meeting house that we were sitting in was a Quaker meeting house, and it is in fact not. And someone else mentioned Mount Olivet was an African-American cemetery and church, and again, it is not. So we did need to make some corrections there and explain exactly how that wasn't accurate. I'm not sure what they're going to do with it. They did say, the 106 group did say, you know, if there is no evidence and they can't find concrete proof, that they're not going to make a claim that the Underground Railroad came through here, but that does not stop them from discussing the regional history and making a reference to, you know, this may have happened here. We can't prove that it did, but if you want more information about the freedom seekers, go, you know, to Kennett and reference some other local historical groups that actually have the proof and the infrastructure supporting the freedom seeker movement. The one thing I was not happy with is our tax dollars are paying for DCNR to get this company to come in and do this management plan. At the end of the meeting, everyone asked when we would be able to see a copy of this cultural resource management plan. They said they'd have it completed in 18 to 24 months, or 12 to 18 months. But once it was completed, it goes directly to DCNR and will be an internal DCNR document only and not for public consumption.
Antia,
So, yes.
did they happen to say anything about further meetings?
So they said, as far as further meetings go, they will probably continue to reach out to people, you especially, because they did have a few questions that I didn't have answers to, and I told them they needed to talk to you through email and phone calls. They didn't talk about having a formal meeting. The 106 group is not based locally. Thursday before the meeting was the first day that they had ever stepped foot on the park. So they spent some time Thursday touring the area and the park and walking Spring Lawn Trail. And then Friday morning, they had the meeting with all of us and they were flying out Friday afternoon. So as far as them having physical, maybe a Zoom meeting or phone calls or emails, that seemed to be the only continuation of this that they
Yeah.
have.
I asked specifically, would we have any more input into this? And they said, oh yeah, you can call anytime.
Right. You can call or email and you can reach out to
Here's
Emma
our
Menzel
email.
and discuss things with her and have her pass it along. But I don't like that we won't be able to see this document. So the 106 group did do the very first cultural resource plan for the state parks at a state park in Pittsburgh a couple years ago. If you look online, and I did extensively trying to find this plan, there is mention that the plan exists, but no mention of how to get your hands on it. So I'm wondering if that's something we could file a right to know for once the plan is completed so that we could maybe see it. Otherwise, DCNR can do whatever they want with it and, you know, pick and choose what they enact.
So, and Tia, were you able to give them the documentation that?
I gave them everything Paul gave me that he asked us to pass out. Jeff was fantastic. He made copies of everything, including Paul's answers to all the questions. We made enough copies for everyone in the room, and I handed them directly to the 106 group myself as soon as I walked in the door. So they have everything that I was asked to pass on.
You get the sense they're trying to make a square peg fit in a round hole.
So honestly, I didn't have an issue with the 106 group. I feel like they're on the up and up. Like they're saying, look, if this doesn't exist, it doesn't exist. We can't make up history. It's the interpretation that DCNR is taking as things are coming about that I have an issue with. So we'll see. I don't know what else to say to that. I don't know if we'll see. We may not see because we may not be able to get our hands on this cultural resources plan. So
At least you're gonna know what you gave them, because you guys know that, and then once something's gonna come out somewhere along the line, you'll be able to, it may be after the fact, right?
Right.
We'll be able to, I don't know, at least you know what you told them.
we know exactly what we've told them, yes. And you know, the people that were in the room, Mary Gruber was there for representing Elk Township. So was Blair Fleischman. Emily Kilby was there. And then the rest of the people that were there, Representative Lawrence came. We had him in the room. Mike Corcoran came from Elk. And then it was myself and Betsy. And then there was a woman from the Hosanna Church, the president of the Hosanna Church up toward Lincoln University. And then 2 members that were from the Kennett Underground Railroad Society, they were there. And that was it as far as people that showed up. So, and not too many people said a whole lot. Emily Kilby had a lot to say, and she was very fascinating. But other than that, there wasn't a whole lot of discussion. It was more them telling us what they had and what they wanted, and us just trying to respond and clarify information. Like Mount Olivet was not an African-American cemetery, things of that nature. So, and
Yeah,
spring,
They wanted to do a lot on.
They wanted to do a
Spring
lot
Lawn
on
Mills
Spring
and
Lawn.
Whatever, and we said, but Elk Township.
they
Oh,
weren't
Spring Lawn.
understanding. I don't think the 106 group was given the information that Mount Olivet and Spring Lawn were not owned by DCNR. So they were discussing Mount Olivet Cemetery a whole lot, like they were gonna do something there, and they were talking about all the ruins on Spring Lawn and how they were gonna do something there. And I did correct them and say, you know, Mount Olivet Cemetery is privately owned. Spring Lawn and Mount Olivet Trails are both township owned. So anything that you want to do needs to be in coordination with and with permission from
Yeah, either
those
the
townships.
private landowner or the township.
Exactly. And the women from the 106 group went, oh, we weren't aware of that. And DCNR goes, yeah, we know. And kind of blew it off a little bit,
Yeah,
but
that's typical.
yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Antia, for your update. I appreciate it.
Do you mind if I just jump in with a couple of clarifications? So one of the things, Emily Kilby's remark about Elk Creek, and it holds true for White Clay Creek too, there's a general recognition that people who are seeking to flee from enslavement have often gone through creeks and streams as a way of basically masking their trail. What you have to understand about the Big Elk and the White Clay is that such passage would not really be possible. These creeks have multiple dams on them. And so when she's talking about mills, more importantly, she's talking about dams and the fact that you cannot really work your way up these streams in an easy way. And plus, so you'd encounter a dam, you'd have to probably get out and go around it, which would mean, you know, you'd be in danger of exposing yourself. There were people who lived and worked along these streams at the mills on the dams, but it's the dams that are particularly important to understand that. I personally don't have a problem with DCNR's choosing to discuss freedom seekers on the Mason-Dixon line if they do so. The real issue is whether they misrepresent the facts on the ground. As long as they do not misrepresent the facts on the ground, then it's fine. I'm intrigued by the fact that they wondered if the meeting house, by virtue of calling it a meeting house,
Thought it was Quaker.
made it a Quaker house, a Quaker meeting house, which is I think, a common misunderstanding, but a lot of
Yeah.
nonconformist Protestant sects met in meeting houses for worship, and they called them that. The other thing is that Mount Olivet Church is really very late in the game. It's being built about the time that it becomes even harder to come up from the south. It was constructed in the 1840s, and I believe, and by 1850, the Compromise of 1850 had led to very, very restrictive laws that allowed the basically slave owners to essentially barge around anywhere they wanted, trying to find their escaped slaves. So it would have been it became a much more difficult time to seek freedom and escape enslavement. So yeah, there are obviously a lot of issues with this, and just to amplify what Antia said, I mentioned the fact about the private ownership of Mount Olivet in my answers to the questions. I had been intrigued about their asking about that, and I had noted in passing in a conversation with them that Mount Olivet was private. I mean, it was a mention saying that some of these sites like Mount Olivet are privately owned and outside the park. So it will be interesting to see where this goes. Meanwhile, there's a really good case for talking about the Mason-Dixon line itself. We know exactly when they came through here and did the survey work. So we can put very precise details on that, and we can, I'm not going to get started about it here, but as you know, it's an important survey. It's a highly recognized survey, and for members in the listening audience who aren't aware of it, it's important to note that Mason and Dixon were both inducted into the American Philosophical Society, which, despite its name, was the premier scientific society in the Americas at that time. It's a recognition by the finest scientists in the colonies that these surveyors, as we call them, were in fact their colleagues because of the nature of the work they were doing in order to mark this boundary.
All right, great. Thank you, Paul.
Yep. Thanks, Paul. Next
Jim.
up is Mark Zwat is here to give the FSA update. Hey, Mark.
Hey, Mark.
Hello. Another season's on us. Came quickly this year. We're at our full complement of 35 members. We had a large turnover this year. We have eight new members. So they're undergoing the archery proficiency testing. It's been going on, and the firearm proficiency will be following. The hunting season starts Saturday, September 20th with archery. And that season closes November 28th, then reopens December 26th, closes January 24th. The firearm season opens November 29th, closes December 13th, opens again December 26th, and closes January 24th. All the trailhead signs have been updated with the new dates, and the signage is up. So I think we're ready. Of course, there's no harvest yet. We have the season open Saturday. We have the report says 11.5 service project hours. Bob let me know they did a project in Bamshire filling in the root ball that came out. So we're up to like 19.5 hours. We had 285 hours last year. So for last year's. So we're pretty much set. The only thing for the board to consider is the last 2 years we've November 1st till the end of the first gun season, which is around this year would be December 13th. We've temporarily closed the two crossover trails out of the three, two of the crossover trails. It seemed to help with the harvest. We had 5 last year in Bamshire, which was pretty good.
Which was up from 2 before, right? It was like 1 or 2.
We had like 1, and then I think the next year we had it open, we got like 2 or 3, and then this year was 5. So Not saying that that's exactly what did it, but it does facilitate
Mhm.
better hunting. But I know could be people that complain about it, so that's up to you guys. But
Mhm.
we would close it if we get permission.
Okay. Well, we don't have that on the agenda to discuss this month, so we won't be able to discuss it
Perfect.
this month.
Yeah.
Hey, Mark, quick question.
Yeah.
How many of the 8 people were township residents? Do you know?
I think it was 4. Yeah.
Are there any?
Everyone who was a township resident that was on the list was asked. Two
I was gonna-
two of the township residents asked to be asked again next year, and another one today signed up. So we have 3
So all
residents for next year
township-
that
all township residents that wanted to be a member
were asked.
Accepted.
Yeah,
That's great.
2 decided to be put on hold and be asked again next year. But yeah, we actually hardly ever dip into the non-resident. We did this year to fill our quota. But yeah, you can put the trail thing for next month and yeah.
All right. Thank you, Mark.
You're welcome.
All right, so I would now like to open the floor to public comment. This may include comments on anything attendees may want to share. Commenters must state their name, whether they are a township resident or a taxpayer of the township. Do we have any public comment for the board?
I just wanted to mention one thing. I got a text from the owner of Cool Breeze Greenhouse, and he wanted to donate $250 towards Joey's bat boxes.
All right, great.
So
Look at this.
the owner was very, very impressed with Joey. So
Wow.
he wanted to reach out to me and
Good
tell me.
job. Yeah, you did an excellent job. You're
Jeff,
gonna-
do you want to, can you mention the owner's name? I don't know who he is.
I can. Jim Durazio, he
Oh,
owns
he's
Cool
a cool
Breeze
breed. Okay, that's
Greenhouse.
Jim. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Okay, great, good job. All right, any public comment? Okay.
My name is John Arbach. I'm a 46-year resident in Franklin Township. The comments I'm going to give you are related to the 841, 896 intersection. There's some historical stuff that may help you with your argument. I agree with what you're doing because I think that township really wouldn't have any responsibility to maintain and operate this thing. The way this thing started, that intersection was an extremely dangerous intersection. And the way it was configured is that 841 had a stop sign, both directions. 896 did not have any traffic control. So traffic came southbound on 896. They come down that hill and they came down very fast. So all the accidents were related to driver error, people ignoring or just not paying attention to the stop sign, and they're getting T-boned at the intersection. In fact, there have been some very serious accidents. There was a teenage girl that got T-boned there, very seriously injured, permanently paralyzed and disfigured. So, and the accidents were frequent, very frequent. In fact, to the point that the Galligans who live right on the corner, the state police gave them 2 cases of flares to mitigate the accident. So the solution came from PennDOT, but the board and the residents convinced them, I won't use the word bludgeon, but we convinced them that they needed to do something. So they eventually came up with the stop sign system you have right now, which is a 4-way stop at the intersection, but a key element was a stop sign several hundred feet up the road at Den Road. And the reason for that stop sign up there was when traffic comes down that hill, they cannot see the intersection.
Right.
So if they came down the hill at speed, they couldn't stop.
Right.
Couldn't stop. So that's why they stopped them. But it did not meet their requirements, their engineering requirements. And they told us this many, many times, but eventually they put it in. And that is a unique system. But we didn't have to pay anything to put it in or to maintain it. So the roundabout was their solution to this non-compliant stop sign system. We didn't ask for it. In fact, the system you have right now has worked perfectly. An enormous change in the characteristics of the accident. First off, there are very few of them, and all the ones you see now are just minor fender benders. They weren't these serious accidents that disfigured and disabled people. So I think the system they put in, I look at that as similar to the roundabout. It's a system,
they put it in, they should maintain it.
That's how I expressed it earlier in the meeting today, was it's yours, you know.
Just wanted to give you
Yeah,
that
well, and it's,
historical background to.
it's interesting because I think all of us know exactly where we're talking about. And it is a unique stop sign if you don't understand why that first stop sign is when you're going, the double stop sign, you know, why is this stop sign here?
Yes.
When you understand the context,
Yeah.
it makes sense that you have a blind stop sign coming
Yeah.
at you while you're going probably
Yeah.
at the clip of 896 speed.
Yeah.
So anyway, thank you for your comments.
The next time
I'm
you
gonna
come
be
down that
sending
road,
a
come
guy
down
to
slowly
go.
and just see what at what point you can see the intersection.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Thanks, John.
Do you think they're gonna take that other stop sign out at Denver?
Yeah, they'll take that out.
Yeah.
Because with the roundabout,
That
they're gonna
route's gonna turn into a
regrade
wash.
the road. In fact, where Galligan's driveway comes out, that road's gonna be lowered 4 feet. So his driveway is unusable, but they're gonna change the slope of the road so you can see the intersection.
Yeah,
Which
major.
would be the roundabout. That's a key element to it. If they didn't
Yeah.
regrade it, the roundabout really wouldn't work.
When you think about where that road is, right? It's like a drop off on one side. It's huge. It's a major engineering.
Now, we
major
developed an
engineering
agreement with them so that the Galligans would have a driveway entrance off of 841 and not off of 896, so.
There's gonna be a lot more signage approaching this roundabout, right? So that people will be aware. A lot more.
That's my 2 cents.
No, thank you, John. Do we have any other public comment? If you want to know what I'm doing, I'm counting to 7 in my head, and then when I get to 7, I'm. All right. Well, not hearing any public comment, I will, I make a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting at 8:46 PM. May I have a second? Jim, thank you for seconding. Any discussion about closing the meeting? Not hearing any. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. All right, motion carries 5-0. Good night, everybody. Thank you.